tell it on the mountains, over the seas and everywhere. Nigerian youths can achieve if they want to. They've won the battle. The war is still there to be won. We salute you all, Nigerian youths. SARS has indeed ended. We salute you all. You are too numerous to be named. Whiskey, Burna Boy, Rontown, Faz the bad guy, and many more on the streets of Lagos, Abuja, Delta, Rivers, Bayelsa, everywhere. We salute you. Your united voice is mightier than the gun. Remember that, always. And on that poetic note, I welcome you all to the Way Show. My name is Wale. And if you've been following what's been happening in the country, Nigeria, and indeed the world, I mean, superstars all over the world have been trending, tweeting, posting stuff on Instagram and police brutality in Nigeria, and indeed, all over the world. We thank you all, every one of you that have done that. And the authorities in Nigeria, they heard finally. And the news that came out this afternoon was SARS has been disbanded. Well done, Nigerian youths. Again, it's the Way Show. My name is Wale. I hope you had a very wonderful week. And how was your Sunday? I hope we're all good. So today we've got a host of guests joining me on the program from time to time. But we've got a very special one. We've got a very special guest who also is a Nigerian youth, if he will permit me to use that word, who is excelling in what he's been doing so far. I mean, he's a sports data analyst. Not just that, he's also a co-founder of an organization called TWOReport. So TWOReport is, this person is going to come up and tell us more about TWOReport. I don't want to bust the bubble. His name is Tonte Davies. So Tonte, thank you for joining us on the show all the way from Nigeria. We're so excited to have you on the show.
Thank you very much.
And I did mention that you are part of that Nigerian youth we're talking about. Congratulations for the battle you won. There's many more battles on the way. And we're counting on you to be the voice, leading the voice. So welcome to the show. I introduced you as a not just a sports data analyst. Excuse me for introducing you as such, but you're also the co-founder of TWOReport. What's this TWOReport and what is TWOReport all about?
Okay, so good evening, everyone, viewers watching across the world. TWOReport is basically a market research organization, and target markets are essentially the sports and entertainment industries. So we realized that there's actually a gap when it comes to data in these two unique markets. And so we feel that there is need to fill this gap and to enable industry players or stakeholders, as they are usually referred to make actionable decisions based on the insight or the data insight we provide for them or to them.
Okay, so it's all about gathering data, analyzing data, and obviously working on that data.
Yes.
So far, I know COVID has really disrupted a lot of things, especially for, especially in the world of sports. So how have you guys coped with your work, so to say? So have you guys been more like in the backseat on a holiday, or how's it going with data gathering and analysis?
Well, the beautiful thing for us is, I think even prior to COVID-19, we have always utilized the digital media to track and also gather data. So COVID-19 coming into the picture just was, as it appeared to disrupt some flow of work of ours. However, not from the digital point of view. Digitally speaking, we were still able to monitor, track, and also gather data in spite of the coronavirus.
And you did mention sports. I know you're not just solely into sports, you're also into entertainment. You gather data on entertainment. Could you explain what kind of data you do gather on entertainment, and why gather data on entertainment?
So now there is one of the things we learn or we're learning about the particularly about the entertainment market is the fact that a lot of times we see a lot of information coming out from that market telling us about things that have happened or are happening in that area. And or in another case, let me give this example. I was talking with an entertainment lawyer, and she told me that there are a lot of investors are actually interested in the entertainment industry in Nigeria, especially the music industry, considering the boom going on there. And for it, but despite this investment interest, a couple of them are not able to take follow-up action, and that simply is because there's a dearth of data. So we see a lot of information coming out. Or say, for example, a modest XYZ money was made from an event, or a number. We say maybe XY number of people attended the concert, for example, or maybe in terms of streams, music, song stream of songs by artists. We don't really have those data. There's been a lack of those data insights. However, with platforms, music platforms such as Spotify, Boomplay, and a couple of others, they seem to be bridging that gap. Now, so how the data is there, but analyzing it for it to be actionable for any interested investor in the music industry is a different ballgame. So this is what we observed, and we felt like this should be an area we should also put stamp our feet in.
Okay, so you've mentioned the investor now. So what about the artists themselves? The artists, the actors, the actresses, who are probably the intellectual owners of what, data,
Mm.
whatever data you gather. So how do this actually benefit them, one? And how do this also benefit the individual sitting at home watching, these guys acting or playing the music?
Okay, so there's an area where we've been talking about, though. However, we've not ventured fully into that particular area when it comes in terms of data, and that has to do with now, in this regard, monetizing the how the artist monetizes his or her data, which is their which for them is their intellectual property. So it's it's largely we're looking at their spread, the width in which their music spreads, and also in terms of their social media following. So, for example, I think let me make a reference to one artist, no, rather a reality celebrity, and I think Tasha by the name from last year's edition of Big Brother Niger, and we saw that despite the fact that we see today that in spite of the fact that she wasn't the eventual winner of that show, she's making waves today, especially across social media. But funny enough, offline she's still making waves. So a good picture is this: um, is offline we see that when she's meant to appear at certain events, we've observed that the the enormous number of people or persons who turn up to be at that event. And we're not talking about celebrities, we're talking about regular people, their fans essentially. She's got a huge fan base. And a lot of people may think that it's just limited or restricted to social media. But offline it is enormous, it is huge. And for her, she's been taking advantage of such following in this regard. So when we are able to know or aggregate interest, but it's easier to track this online compared to the offline engagement, because there you can see media mileage she's getting. You can see engagements with people and a couple of other metrics that can be used to measure how far or how influential Thatcher is. So it shouldn't come as a surprise to us when sometime some few months ago she came up with a power bank brand, and the next thing, move, in less than few hours, about 500 units were sold. That says a lot. So that gives us a picture of the fact that gives us a picture that Thatcher is not just she can have the data we can extract from her from her platforms, and even combining offline activities, we can actually say that she is a marketable brand in this regard, and in that way she can monetize whatever activities she finds herself in. Little wonder the likes of Oppo phone makers endorsed her as a brand ambassador. So those things like this wouldn't come to us as a surprise in this regard. So using Thatcher as an example, these are some or one of the many ways in which artists or celebrities get to monetize their intellectual property.
So would you say your brand of data gathering and analysis, how will it differ from brand management itself? Or is it complementary?
Yes, I'll go with the latter. It's complementary. Our area is essentially not brand management. What we do, we gather the data, we analyze it, and we expect and we look out for brand experts or brand managers to utilize it for their own individual or organizational consumption, so that it can help them to or guide them to make the best decisions that would yield positive results for them.
Okay. So all right. So we've done a bit of entertainment. Let us digress into something I'm really very passionate about, and that's sports. Indeed, just zeroing in on football to start with, because
Okay.
obviously Nigerians are football crazy, are football crazy. So we've got a local league, okay, where the football teams in the local league are majority of them are funded by the government.
Yeah.
Okay, with your data gathering and analysis, how can you help some of these football teams to be able to be self-sustainable, be able to be to so to say, like, get themselves off that state government,
Mm.
to be able to stand alone. So how can you help to provide a platform for all this?
Okay, so for us at Two Reports, one of the things we talk about or we always look out to execute um, and the first thing when in terms of these clubs, football clubs in Nigeria, and maybe even if you widen the net, maybe even basketball, for example, and basketball teams as well. Um, one of the first things that we need to know, the clubs before they talk about monetizing, they need to know who their fans are. They need to know who their fans are. So they need to know who their fans are. They need to know where their fans are. They also need to know how their fans engage with them. So they could all set up social media platforms, which is actually good in this digital age that we live in. Now, but what if a majority of their fans aren't social media? They're not social media frenzy, or they don't believe they don't feel that social media is the right place for them to engage with the club, and that means that tells us that they are offline fans. So it essentially this for them to know that okay, wherever their fans are located offline, regardless of their geographical location. So this is the first things that clubs need to know if they want to monetize or they want to make money, to appear to be more business driven than appearing to be influenced or owned by government. I've said something, and a lot of people may not agree with this. Now, and it can be in itself a business model. Um, government does not necessarily need to take its hand totally out of the football clubs. Then people are crying out a lot. There's a loud cry for government to divest totally 100% from the clubs and give it to private sector, to private organizations, individuals. That's a model. Nothing faulty with that. However, I also feel that from a business point of view, government can equally make money from the clubs on a sustainable basis. And so instead of rather than outrightly selling the clubs, they can retain a few percentage or equity in the football clubs, and allow private individuals to drive it. So, but with private individuals, it is actually it's with private organizations or individuals, it becomes even easier to engage with them and let them see that, hey, this kind of data, this nature of data, say for example, fan identification, who your fans are, is critical to them driving revenue or generating revenue for the club. So if they're not able to, if basic thing is because without the fans, there's no sustainability, there's no revenue generation, and because fans are the ones who go to the stadium, buy tickets for live matches, they buy match day magazines, they buy merchandise of different forms or and all sorts. So without these fans, if you don't know the fans, if you don't know the social status of your fans, that also becomes a problem. That means you can just set a price for your products or one of your products for your fans to buy, and you end up that particular match day or during the week building up to the match day, they buy nothing. There's zero revenue generated by the football club. So the basic thing for us as at TWOReport, the most important thing that we engage with clubs or representatives of clubs, we let them know that the first thing and important thing, especially for the Nigerian context, is to know and identify your fans. Without that, the journey is difficult to move ahead.
I think I totally agree with you on that issue of identifying your fans. So, for example, in the East, we've got very known teams, very known teams like Rangers, Enugu Rangers, and obviously
Yeah.
Imba. And traditionally, traders tend to identify with those kind of clubs. So, if Rangers today were to, I know they were in the stock market at some point before in the past. If they were probably reintroduce themselves into the stock market and probably, get run properly, them alongside Aimba will probably have quite a lot of investors in them because that team, a lot of Igbo traders identify with that team as like not just a team, a state team, but it's more like a national team, a traditional team in itself. So it's totally
Mm.
different from a team like Sunshine Stars of Akure, where they solely depend on government, to
Yeah.
fund them. And even when you go to watch them, most times, you rarely see the core fans, core people from Akure going there to watch them. They do go there, but sometimes they
Yes.
might not go the extra mile, buying
To
merchandise and what have you, just
yes.
like you mentioned. And it is something I totally agree with. Tonte,
Yes.
we will go on a short break in right after this question I want to ask you. We've talked so much about sports development in Nigeria, and
Yeah.
you are part of those that contributed to the sports policy, Nigerian sports policy.
Yeah.
How do we develop sports in Nigeria? We've talked about so many times. We've got this minister coming, we've got that minister coming, we've got this government coming in. We want to develop sports. What is the core thing we need to do to develop sports in Nigeria?
Um, we frankly, with given my experience in the process of developing the what we have as the 2020, the draft 2020 National Sports Industry Policy, um, we've I've learned two things. One is we need a willing institution. Then the second thing is that we also need a willing reformer as a minister of youth and sports or as a minister of sports. We can go on and cite a couple of other things. Oh, what about individuals? This person has ideas, has this vision and all that. Yes, we can have those visions, but if you don't have a willing institution like we have in the Nigerian Economic Summit Group, if things become difficult because they have the experience, they actually have the platform and know and the capabilities on as to how to engage with government, and it's been smooth to leveraging on those existing platforms that they have instituted. And I would like to underline the word instituted because it's not a case of just they just coming out of nowhere or coming out of nothing. They've been in existence since about 1993, and over the years they've engaged with each different forms of government, from the military up to the democratic dispensation we find ourselves in right now. So and one of the core areas, their core departments is research. So based on research, they've been able to identify how to engage with governments in across different sectors and in different forms. And we were able to, for us at which the group I belong to within the NESG is the sports industry thematic group. So for us, we were able to they brought us on board and saw that this, considering the vision of the government that to create employment for about 100 million people, for example, especially by this current government, they realized that they have to go think outside the box, go beyond the regular and the usual, and so it became business as usual. And for them, they saw individuals or who actually came up with had a vision as to how that problem can be solved in terms of creating a platform or creating an environment that will engage as many young people or as many youths in Nigeria as possible. And in this case, in that regard, the NESG, the individuals came who were identified, they were brought on board, and through a number of engagements, events, activities, and all that, were able to arrive at the point where we saw where we came in contact with a willing reformer in the person of the current Minister of Youth and Sports Development. Without a lot we've seen previously in previous even the previous minister, where he engaged a couple of individuals who came up with a program as to how to reform or transform the sports industry. But till date, that document lies fallow. Nothing has come out of it. But here we are, we've actually come to a point where we can say that we do have a policy document. And the next stage where we are right now is to get approval from the National Council of Sports. Then subsequently, Office of the Attorney General, then again to the Federal Executive Council, Federal Executive Council for the approval of the president. So essentially, fundamentally, the two things we actually do need for sports to develop are a willing institution that has the instituted platform to drive the vision for a robust and commercial-driven sports industry. And the second thing is, from a public sector point of view, is to have a willing reformer as a minister who understands the need to drive such initiatives to solve the current problem of high unemployment in the country, of having the young people largely unengaged. The people who are protesting on the streets, we cannot say totally or absolutely that they are not engaged. A couple of them actually, they work. They actually they have careers of their own, or they run businesses. So they took out time out of these things to, like, these activities, their personal activities, to drive the initiative of the hashtag and NSAS as we know it today. But nonetheless, there are many others across the country who may not be as privileged as many of these people who are protesting on the streets or across social media, but who, if nothing is done urgently, become willing tools in the hands of violent groups or bandits, as we evidently see today.
Okay, we are going to take a short break, and when we come back, I think we're going to take one of the quotes by the Nigerian sports minister, Tonte Davies, and then we will continue on our discussion with regards to sports development. Join us. So welcome back from that short break. I still got with me the co-founder of TWOReport. His name Tonte Davies. I nearly call you Tonto Dike there for some reason. Sorry,
I've been getting it a lot recently.
sorry about that, Tonte. So
It's fine.
so if you're watching now, there's this comment by Sunday Diary, Nigeria Sports Ministry, saying with the targeted annual investment of over $500 million over the next 10 years, sports will drive the largest real estate and infrastructure development in the future. How wonderful that is, reading that. Yeah, but how practical is it, Tonte?
So yeah, that's actually a reason we had to organize a pre summit webinar last month. That's considering the fact that sports today has been by the government has been recategorized as or reclassified as a business sector now. So for us for that following this recategorization, the next thing, because it's no more about the previous focus has always been about participation, athletes, developing athletes or sporting athletes that will represent us at continental or international events, but little on the business side of it. And by business, we're saying having companies, business organizations, or individuals that that develop or produce products or content that are primarily or basically consumed by Nigerians here first before we talk about exporting such products. So before now it's been a case of from top to bottom. So we focus on the athletes before we now try to go down to the grassroots. But we're looking at flipping that pyramid. So focusing essentially at the grassroots, the mass market, where we believe that people will be willing, based on the products that is sellable, that they see, they will be willing to part with whatever amount of money or whatever price that is tagged on that product for them to consume. So essentially, if we're looking at it, to attain that $500 million, it looks like a huge or an impossible feat. But the truth is actually possible. And how this is possible is because we have to engage the private sector. And the process of engaging the private sector has not started today. It's actually ongoing and it still continues. So that's one of the ways we've been able to do that have been some of the engagement events we've had in the past 1 year, for example. Like early in the year, we actually had between February and March, we actually had what we call the stakeholders engagement sessions. And at those sessions, we had a couple of private sector organizations, even banks represented there, and they were exposed to the steps being taken towards reclassifying reclassifying sports as an industry, as a business sector. So when these individuals or organizations are engaged, or even other non-financial institutions that actually have the finances to fund or invest in the sports sector, when they are engaged and, let me use the word, educated about the sports industry and the opportunities that lie therein, $500 million become even a mincemeat in itself. Like it becomes something small for a couple of them, and we've been hearing whispers in that regard. So when the minister making that declaration, he didn't make it by. It wasn't just a thoughtless one. It was actually it was very thoughtful because of previous engagement that have happened and which are still ongoing. And as a result of that confidence, he made that declaration about $500 million annual investment. But for seriously speaking, if we are going to say that sports should should be taken seriously as a business sector, we cannot be talking about 100 million naira as a form of investment on an annual basis, considering the gap in unemployment gap and also infrastructural gap we're looking to bridge. to bridge. And in terms of infrastructure, we're looking at new kinds of arenas, stadium, sporting arenas. We're looking at sports cities. We're looking at sports and entertainment centers. So these, it is as a stadium or in the modern design kind of stadium arena like we have in Atlanta. Atlanta, owned by Atlanta United. Those and Falcons. Such a thing doesn't even cost anything less than $100 million. That's facility alone. So how much more in terms of other kinds of facilities or infrastructure and other forms of soft programs that will also require or attract investment into the sector. $500 million eventually will become even the lowest or the declaration for investment.
Okay. We're going to take another short break. Why? Because we've got Greg Etafia, former Super Eagles goalkeeper, who is also a coach in South Africa, who's been in South Africa for a long time, who have his own experience of how football is run in South Africa, and why today South African sports, football especially, seems to be the yardstick for measuring football in sub-Saharan Africa. So we go on a short break, and when we join, Tonte will remain with us. Tonte will remain with us. Also joining us, Tonte. I think you have to have a change of name. At this rate, Tonte will remain with us, and we'll be joined by Greg Etafia, all the way from South Africa. Stay tuned. Welcome back to the show. I am so far since 8 o'clock now. I've been talking to Tonte Davies, who is the co-founder of TWOReport. Tonte has been talking to us about sports development, data gathering, and indeed the future and the vision for sports in Nigeria. And also, I'm being joined now by another special guest all the way from South Africa. I'm sure you know this face as former Nigeria Super Eagles goalkeeper.
Okay.
Yeah, he's the one and only Greg Etafia. It's been a while, Greg, since I saw you. I know we've been in touch, but it's so nice to see your face again and obviously join us on the show. Thank you for joining us on the show.
Yeah, good evening. Very grateful to join you guys. What a pleasure, to meet you guys and talking about this special show. I mean, my great feelings to see you guys today. I'm so happy, we have a topic like this to talk about. Good evening to everyone.
Good evening.
Thank you, Greg. So Tonte has been talking about the plans for sports development in Nigeria. We've talked about the potential investment and the potentials we can get from sports. You've been in South Africa for a long time, Greg, and obviously the way football and sports is run generally over there is totally different to where we are in Nigeria. Could you just say before we go down to your career, could you just let us know why you feel South African football at the moment is, and we're talking about local league level, is way better run than Nigerian football league?
I mean, there's a lot of factors there, because I mean they came into soccer in terms of international soccer after the 1996 AFCON, so came into the global stage to really develop their soccer. I mean, I feel they learn a lot from outside country in terms of going outside to acquire more knowledge, how to run their league. If you remember so well, South Africa, going to soccer, they are not that strong in terms of playing wise, during the days of when the likes of the JJ, the Kanu, they were playing that time. But they feel like them going out to acquire more knowledge and how to run things in terms of football, because number one sport before soccer was rugby. They were into more rugby. They like the rugby, the cricket. But they saw after they hosted that in the Nations Cup, and they feel like by then they most of the players went overseas to play in the likes of in Turkey, the Lucas Radebe, the McFish, they were in England, you know. So they feel like that time they need to follow that route of the English football because they have that opportunity by then to, you know, really watch the English football, you know. So I just feel like, you know, because they prioritize their own, because normally the SAFA and the PSL, they're not in one like, you know, in Nigeria, the government runs the soccer like the FA and all those things. They try to do now the LMC. So yeah, the SAFA and the PSL have they went to inquire sponsors first of all to run the league. So they make it 16 league, there are 16 teams league, so they can able to pay them, pay the teams, you know, for them to get good players, and most especially, you know, coming from that back after the Nations Cup and for them to host the World Cup. Now it was more, you know, mind blowing for them, you know, seeing other how the Germany host the World Cup that time in, I think, in 2006. So they say, no, okay, let us run this league, let us make it 16 teams. That's so that we can able to, you know, help other clubs that are not having that financial muscle to, you know, to buy players, you know, to have their own feeds. No one have his own feed in terms of his own ground playing, but they have the training facility, you know, after the World Cup, after they host the World Cup. And the most especially, Ivan Kuza is one person that's, you know, for a very long time till now, that helped the league in terms of how they grow, you know, because before we always, you know, look forward to watch the Northern League in terms of the Egyptian league, in terms of the, you know, what they call it, the Algerian league. Yeah. So, but now, I mean, this southern region, South Africa is a really powerful for everything in terms of the league, because in the southern region here, the likes of Zambia, the likes of Zimbabwe, or every other country, they look forward, you know, to learn more in South Africa, because why? They are willing to learn, you know. I just feel like for now in this southern region, I mean, they have gone far. I mean, Nigeria can learn a lot, you know, from them in terms of how they organize the league. The league is well sponsored in terms of the last sponsor was ABSA, you know, they call it ABSA Premiership, but the recent sponsor now is the DSTV Premiership, because multi-choice now took over. Now they signed for 5 years, and you know that's the good thing about them. Before one sponsor get finished, they try to inquire for the other sponsor, and the sponsor, they tell them what they want, and these are the people that, you know, really, you know, give the teams, you know, money to make sure they run their club very well. So that's the way I think, you know, we should go back, should do well in Nigeria, just to acquire more sponsor and let them understand, put your plan, you know, to them, and let them know what you want to achieve. You want to produce a lot of players, you want to develop, you know, a lot of players. I think with that in their league now, I could give them maybe 2-3 years to come. I think they're going to be doing well in terms of the club side, you know, Champions League, the African Champions League, and the national team. So I think with that route, they're more patient. You know, Germany did that, you know, after for a long time before they came back to become a powerhouse. So I think, you know, when your league is well run, it's going to affect a lot of things in terms of the national team, and most especially the club side too.
Okay, thank you for that, Greg. I'm going to pose this question to Tonte before we come back to you, Greg, and obviously talk about your career and what's been happening to you. Tonte, the key things I picked up from what Greg has said is, one of them is they have people from the South African League go out to learn from others on how to run the league. He mentioned also the former players, the Lucas Radebe, who played for Leeds, captain Leeds in England, Mark Fish, who played for Charlton, and some other ones, Dr. Kumalo and all of them. Nigeria, we had the late Stephen Keshi, who obviously went to Belgium. We had the JJ Okochas, the Kanus, the Finidi George, Taribo West. Name them, a lot of them. Greg also. Why didn't we, you know, tap into the resources of these guys, the experience of these guys? You know, after, you know, most of them played in the local league in Nigeria, then they went abroad to learn their trades and obviously improve themselves, and came back after retirement. But what we see now is most of them are either brand ambassador for this drink, these telecoms, and what have you. They have not really impacted what they've learned in other countries. to the local league. Why is this so? Why didn't we go that route?
I know I'm aware that at the national federation level, they've engaged a few of the former Super Eagles players into in different forms different departments for one thing or the other. Though not on the wider scale as Greg Etafia has mentioned, in like it is like it's happening in South Africa. But going down to this as a statewide across different states again, maybe football clubs and all that. I think is down to perception issues of these individuals, these former Super Eagles players. What do they think of them? How do they see them? Do they believe in them? Yes, they know that these are, let me use the word, quote unquote, these are superstars, sports superstars, and which rightfully they are, considering their exploits. Now, but do they believe that they are capable of making changes in different departments or at different levels across football, as an example, in this regard in Nigeria? So I feel like it's down. I don't know a couple of maybe there may be some other details, but I know that yes, there's perception issues. I know that maybe even politically too, they feel that they could be believed that these individuals, there is two ways now. Then one on the one side that maybe these individuals they lack the capacity, and that is which is perception, that capacity to deliver on objectives. On the other flip, they feel they could also believe that these individuals may not align with their vision in the sense that um, with the state of things right now, they're enjoying the status quo. These individuals are driven to want to change things. So they feel that, like in the Nigerian balance, they will want to pour sand in their gari. So they are more or less they are spoilers. So in that sense, they may not want to engage them to be actively involved in football development. So, but I know that these views aside, I know that to some limited level, some former Super Eagles players have been engaged in at one form or the other. But however, I think I mean I won't be wrong to say that not in administrative capacity to a large degree, not in administrative capacity.
Greg, you've been a world-class goalkeeper, and this is my personal opinion. I don't know if people watching have got their opinions about you. I saw you played when you were at Lodi Stars in Nigeria, right to when you obviously got called up to the Super Eagles. I saw you play here, and in South Africa, over 300 league games for South Africa in South African League, which you obviously won honors for, and you've been a very loyal goalkeeper to your team back then. You were an acting coach, an interim coach for a South African football club in the Premier League, and you saved them from relegation. They were in relegation waters. You saved them from relegation. You went to another team. You did well, and at the moment you're a goalkeeping coach. I've heard what Tonte has said, and using Tonte's word, my question is: if you get given that opportunity in Nigeria to probably coach a team or probably one of the national teams, or even as a goalkeeper coach with your experience, are you hoping to pour Sansa into somebody's gari?
No ways, no ways. I mean, Mr. Wale, it's good for you to ask this question, and it's just coincidence. Do you know? Actually, I did apply for this recent appointment they make, in the national team. I did apply for the under-17 goalkeeping coach position. And I did apply. I mean, for a very long time. I will send it to you. I'll send you my CV and everything. I did my goalkeeping course in South Africa with SAFA, with CAF, and I did one in the Dutch, in Holland there. Goalkeeping course. I have my CAF C license. I have my CAF D license. Yeah, I'm just waiting because of the corona. I could have done my B license now, but because of the corona issue and all those things, now I'm still waiting so everything can settle for me to do that. I've been going through this stage before I stop playing. So I send my CV, I send everything. I saw the application that people must apply for the position of this, that, and everything. So I say, okay, let me start from the under 17. So I send my application. I send everything through the FA. They got everything, and to my greatest surprise, no response. And before I open newspaper or the internet, I saw there's a lot of appointment. There. So why am I saying this? Because I played for Swallows for 18 years. I came here very long time. 2002. June. In South Africa. Yeah. I've seen the country from where they are now, for where they were before, and where they are now. I think things have improved, and there's a lot of opportunity here, for you to learn more. Apart from in South Africa, yeah, I've traveled, to like in the UK, I went to Poland, I traveled to Germany, and just to try to educate myself in terms of empower myself in terms of coaching wise, but most specifically for goalkeeping. So I mean, it's just coincident now you asked that question, but I feel like we can really impart in the young ones, in terms of the goalkeeping skills, coaching wise, give them the knowledge we have. I speak to Vincent Yama every day. I speak to Dele Ayunuba every day. Now he's back there with Kwara United. I'm in contact with Austin Ejide. I mean, that's when we are playing the Super Eagles. That's the guys. We're in the same, in the same set. Yeah. So we do talk about this thing. Okay, we need to pass our knowledge to the younger ones where we can help and there, and most especially in goalkeeping side where we we have that expertise. But the likes of Aloyago, the likes of Eke Shirumu, they have been doing very good job. I mean, they have been doing great, in terms of producing a lot of goalkeepers and helping them. But at least we that have been there before, we're not looking to go to the Super Eagles straight away. We want to start somewhere, just to help. So I think I'm not saying now. I don't say they must give any, me or any of us. The likes of Vincent Yama is there. Abdelia Yunumba, Austin Ejide. You have people that can, at least, we have been away for a very long time. Dele played in Israel. Austin Ejide played in Israel. Went to Tunisia. From Vincent, we can't even talk about him because he deserves something.
What he did in France, yeah.
Yeah. What he did in France, and right now he's coaching a third division team. So we speak about this thing every time with each other, and trying to help and see where we can help if they give opportunity. But as David says there, sometimes it's one thing for you to think about it, and it's one thing for the association or people in power to allow you to enter the system. But we're still hoping, we're still fighting, we're still praying that one day we can come back home and contribute. I'm very happy, pleased to see the likes of Yobo there, with his experience and what he has done for the national team, at least giving opportunity. Administrative wise, where Davis was talking about, at least I think a lot of players need to empower themselves in a different way. You need to go and educate yourself. Depends. That's the same thing they're saying about Lucas Radebe here in South Africa with the SAFA. He wants to contest in the SAFA president, but they're saying that no, he needs to get that. You need to start step by step. That's what everybody's hoping for. You need to start step by step. You're given opportunity to start somewhere. For you to go to the bigger side. So I feel not everyone's gonna be coach. Not everyone, some people got passed through the administrative side, and which for me in particular, I'm willing, to learn, and really to educate myself to try to pass any route that can contribute to Nigerian football.
Tonte, last week before I think it was the same day that the Nigerian, the NFA announced the names of the Super Falcons new coach, Randy, I think Randy from America. I'm not sure what his surname is now. The same day that I got a call all the way from America from a former Nigerian Olympian. I'm not going to mention her name now. She's a former Nigerian Olympian, a long jumper. And she called me on the phone. She was like, Wale, what's going on in Nigeria? Why are these people like that? We've got, so his name is Randy Waldrum. So that's the name of the coach. So, and this person was saying to me, what's going on in Nigeria? You brought somebody in. We brought a Super Falcons player in about 2 weeks ago, Ngozi Kobe, on the show. And Ngozi was talking about, what's happening in Super Falcons. And we were saying things like, we've got Nigerians that are way qualified than these guys that are bringing in. All over in America there, they're doing really well in female football. In Kiro Kotieme, and we've got so a lot of them. And so this lady called me. I was, well, we need to do something about sports in Nigeria. Tonto, I'm putting these words to you now. How do we tap into these guys, the Greg Etafias, Vincent Yama, and Kiro Kosieme? They've been all around the world. They are there. They are learning new stuff. They are ready to work for Nigeria. Even leaving their families to come home to impact knowledge. How do we get them together to actually tap from their knowledge and make things work for Nigeria?
Yeah, it's actually an apt question, and the basic way we can actually address this has been captured and is reflected in the draft policy as we have it today. And that's if we go to the chapter that talks about federations and elite athletes development, that speaks to this particular issue. So with respect to federations, because this issue it goes back to the federations. So if corporate governance is not instituted within each federation, say using football as an example, given the context, it becomes difficult to now attract professionals and former players like Greg Etafia and other players or athletes that represented the country at the global stage, not even national, global stage. Now, and we have Mr. Etafia now talking about having licenses. So the question is, why isn't he looked at? Why didn't he get feedback with respect to his application? That goes back to corporate governance. And corporate governance in this case, we're not just talking about who is there now, but we're talking about having different departments. Ordinarily, if corporate governance was instituted within the federation, whether or not he gets the he's engaged, that's a different issue. But fundamentally, he should have received a feedback. So that's what a department should be responsible for that, and it operates in spite of who is the president of that federation. So that speaks volumes. It means that there is a lack of corporate governance within the federation, and the based on corporate governance, aside from receiving feedback, there's a department that will look through his application as well. They will scan through. They will look at other applicants. In some cases, they may even do head hunting. They may not necessarily need to have, and they can engage. I know for a fact that Manchester City Football Club has a human resource organization as a partner to the club, and so through them they utilize their services or their expertise to headhunt and also engage for new professionals that will be part of the back end departments. And in this case, I'm not talking about the football team now. I'm talking about the off-field or non-football related departments. So why can't our NFF, for example, in this case, or any other federation within Nigeria, have such partnership, have such relationship? So that tells us that corporate governance is non-existent within not just football, but across all federations within Nigeria. So until this is instituted, it becomes difficult to now attract or appeal to the likes of Mr. Etafia and many others who believe that they actually do have the capacity and are even more capable than even foreign individuals to deliver on set objectives and vision.
I'll tell you one exclusive. I don't know if anyone knows about this in Nigeria also. But a certain gentleman who we used to call the Crossmaster, Finidi George, also made an application for one of his roles, and nobody got back to him. This is someone who's actually done so well in Spain. He's a fully qualified coach in Spain, He knows the culture, the tradition of football in Nigeria, having started off from Calabar Rovers before he moved to Ajax and all those Spain and England and back to Spain. And he's been there. I mean, just a courtesy. Okay, we saw your email. We're looking at it. Oh, sorry, you didn't get the job, but this is the reasons
Yeah.
why you. These are the reasons
Yeah.
why you didn't get the job. You know, it's just courtesy. It's just common sense. Well, obviously, it's not that common when it comes to issues like this. But the issue being there now is these guys are so determined to give back to Nigeria whatever way. I know of the fact that Greg is also got a goalkeeping academy in Nigeria in a little way giving back. But I mean, if you want to, if we look at the trend so far, I get quite a lot of these former footballers, former international, who obviously come to me to say this is what is happening, and why are we not getting these opportunities? So, but it's okay. We're talking about it now, obviously, and I do hope that we will at some point do something about it. Greg, let's just come to your career now. So what's happening? Are you still with Island Parks as a goalkeeper, as a goalkeeper coach? And where are you going from?
Yeah. What happened, actually, okay, let me go back, when Swallows, I finished playing for Swallows, like I got employed in terms of a caretaker coach at Swallows, and after I left Swallows, I went to Cape Town All Stars to be a goalkeeper coach. From there, become a caretaker coach. I went to Baroka. I went there, I become a goalkeeper coach. Yeah, after Baroka, I went, and now I'm with Highlands Park, but the status have been sold, to TS Galaxy, so but they keep the name Highlands Park, which when you in South Africa, when a club is being bought, you need to stay for a year for you to get back into either the PSL or the NFD. You have to start from the Mosipe League. They call it a SAP League, yeah. So that's where we are. That's where I am now. I'm still I'm being assistant coach now and doing goalkeeper coach. Because we have the younger ones, from 19, 20 years, like the MDC. So I have some offers for me to go coach, away from Highlands Park. But Highlands Park, they are willing to build with me, from the scratch again. They're willing to build me from the scratch again. They feel like I have that experience, with the grace of God to add, for them to come back into the NFD or into the PSL. They are looking into that, so that's where I am now, and I'm just still with Highlands Park now, because what happened the season that just finished is two of the goalkeepers that got injured. In terms of I was the goalkeeper coach during the MDC side. It's the MDC side in South Africa. It's like the reserve league side. So I was the goalkeeper coach there, coming to the first team to inquire knowledge and go back to empower the younger ones on that side, let them know this is how we do things in the first team. So two of the goalkeepers that got injured, one broke his arm, and the other one, his shoulder was broken too. So they say, okay, they're looking for goalkeeper to come and fill that space. So they couldn't get, and that time they couldn't get either from outside the country, because you have to take time for you to get the work permit, and it takes a lot of time. And inside in South Africa, to get a local goalkeeper, they feel like there was no one capable of doing that job that time. So, and I was training, because normally what I do with my goalkeepers, I train with them. Let's try to let them know this how you need to do this, need to do that, just to show them. So that's how I normally do with my goalkeepers when I coach them. So, and the coach came down to the reserve side to watch one of the game, and he saw me, doing my things, and he was so impressed and said that, no, why don't you come over and let's see what you can offer, what you can do in terms of fitness. We can work on that, but at least you still have that. You still have that your reflexes, you still have that composure, you still have everything that we think you have, and most especially you have the experience. We think we can make you get fitter, and you can just be a backup, should in case anything happens before the other guys can come come back from their injury. So that's how I got signed again for another 1 year again, you know. So being with the team. So, but also it was a great story. I mean, it was a great feeling. You know, we finished ninth in position because the other year we finished eighth. That was the top eight. So, and it's a new team. You know, the Highlands Park is just like a new team. This was their second year in the PSL. You know, so but you know, as things turn out, you know, they couldn't, you know, keep the status, and now they have to sell it. You know, all those other things. That was you know, management stuff. You know, so. That's how I came back, and for now I'm going back to my coaching department.
Okay. And quickly, Greg, you also have a son who is a star defender, who's doing really well as a defender. Following in that footstep, but this time as a defender. Tell me, any chance your son will probably play for Nigeria or South Africa at some point?
For me personally, from my heart, I want him to really play for Nigeria. You know, but I mean, he got, you know, okay, we got South African passport. He's a citizen here, and he has also every opportunity because he plays for Highlands Park. He was at Bets. He came to Highlands Park. He won the best defender in the tournament. There's an engine tournament which Super Sports, the multi-choice, they organize every season. He was the best defender. There's a tournament they play in Cape Town. They call it the Bay Hill tournament. He won. He was the captain there. He won the tournament with Highlands Park. You know, he has done very well. You know, he got a lot of some good offers. You know, in the local league here, and the national team coaches, you know, they really were aware of him. You know, they spoke to me about him that, you know, they would like to bring him in, you know, to see how he's going to develop and how they're going to use him, because he has, you know, they believe he has that good stature. You know, he's a left-footed player. You know, he can play left centre back. He can play left back. He can, yeah. he can play left midfield. So, but for my own heart, I hope and I pray that he can play for Nigeria one day. That's my own, you know, opinion for him, and I spoke to him about it. But I mean, you know, with these kids, they grow up, they decide what they want to do. You know, you can only guide them and tell it. Yeah, they can only guide them and, you know, hope and they follow your own decision. But depends. If you got a call up from Nigeria, I mean, it's fine. He's still with Highlands Park. Because actually this season he went in the bubble, because we finished the season in the bubble, which we finished the last game. So he was with the team in the bubble there with the first team. You know, yeah. So I just feel he has opportunity to play in both sides, in South Africa, or in Nigeria. If given opportunity, I think. I just hope you can choose the right one.
Greg, we would invite you to this program again so we can talk fully about your career, because we would like to know what's happened. I mean, we know you've done great things with Morocco Swallows, and I mean, it's an achievement for someone who's not South African to play over 300 matches for a team, and of which obviously I saw your trophy, the one that was given to you by PSL. It's something to be proud of, and we wish you all the very best. Not just you and your son again, because hopefully we'll see another Tafia in Nigerian colors. Hopefully.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you. I'm very grateful. I'm very humbled. Thank you very much. I'm so grateful. I'm humbled to be on your platform. Nice to meet you, Mr. David. You know. And thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm so humble. Yeah, thank you very much. God bless you.
Thank you, Greg. So, Tonte, to round up with you. So, what would the one other thing I actually wanted to pick you on is I read one article you wrote about 2014, and this was about diversifying from football into wrestling in Nigeria. This was way back in 2014. And as you know, I know you're an advocate of sports diversification, not just entirely football. So 2014, you're thinking, can't we just do anything outside football? And Nigeria is a football crazy country. Football is about the only religion that unites Nigerians.
Yes.
I read the article, I'm thinking, is this guy going gaga? What does he mean by wrestling? Who is going to sit down and watch wrestling like you? Why did you think about wrestling at that point? Why not boxing, for example? Because we know back in the days, boxing used to be. I know wrestling was good when we used to watch Mighty Eagle and all them people back in the days.
Yes, Andre
Why
the
wrestling?
Giant.
Yeah, Andre the Giant, all those.
The Undertaker.
Why wrestling?
Okay, so wrestling. I think I'll use. I walk along the streets and I take a walk along the streets. Certain points where I see people who sell retail. Let me use what they retail second hand or used TV television sets, and they're when the TV box is on, and they're showing wrestling, and the people who are watching are literally what the class of people you refer to as grassroots. In terms of economic status, they belong to the very low income earning group. And so you see hawkers, you see mechanics, and some other kind of individuals who are there. And in terms of the crowd, we're not talking about anything less than 20, and they are all there. Some of them are even standing, entering into the road where vehicles are passing by. And I'm thinking, what's going on with wrestling? These individuals, a couple of them may not even have access to the likes of to any pay TV platform in their homes, but they're watching wrestling, and now I believe that based on data, someone like the likes of Super Sports, for example, have a dedicated channel for wrestling in Nigeria, and I believe that the data shows them or informs them that people are really interested in wrestling. It doesn't mean imply that boxing is not people are not interested. Nigerians are not interested in boxing, but you must. How many boxing events are telecast or are broadcast on TV on a regular basis? Wrestling, for example, is shown week in, week out, and it almost is literally shown every day of the week. And you now have promotional ads that or maybe the likes of WrestleMania, Royal Rumble, and other kinds of specific or bespoke wrestling events. So this, which make it appealing and attractive for different individuals or different kind of people to watch it. When I was much younger, I found wrestling interesting, but these days, growing up and learning that okay, it seemed like make believe, I got disinterested. But many people, even with that, equipped with that or armed with that kind of information or knowledge, still feel that it's interesting. But they don't believe that, even though it may be make believe, they still feel that it's entertaining. So let me continue watching whether or not it is play acted. And with that kind of with this kind of appeal, it becomes that it informs me to write that article and say that hey, we need to, as football is there, but we also need to appeal to have other sports that appeal to other groups of individuals across the country. And there's something we've developed at TWOReport, for example, which what we call street credibility. We realize that a lot of people, contrary to what many the perception we have or think about football, many people really don't like football. Not as though they don't watch it. Yes, not as though they don't watch it, but they don't. It's not something they find other kinds of sports or other forms of sports more appealing and interesting to follow or watch than even football. So, for example, we actually have table tennis. Many Nigerians are very much interested in table tennis. Many are interested in wrestling, as noted. Then we also have boxing is also there. Now, but another thing that we also observed, especially amongst the age group of maybe between 10, 11 and about 15, 16, is a growing interest in motorsports. So I do follow motorsports, but not as regular as this unique age group. We've engaged with a few of them, with a few of these young individuals, and for them, the number one sport is motorsports, not even football, not even football in Nigeria for that matter. and they keep track of things going on. They know the likes of Lewis Hamilton, Sebastian Vettel, Kim Raikkonen, and many others. And they even know the vehicles, the brands that are involved in motorsport,
Wow.
like Formula One and even NASCAR in that regards. So that tells us that we are without even with that article aside, that gives us the picture that the taste or appeal towards sports is on its own having experiencing or witnessing a growing dichotomy. And so resulting in sports now having a narrowed followership. At the moment we don't have that data yet to defend this fact, but this is just, which is part of research anyway, is observation. We've been observing, keeping track of things going on, how people are following some of these other non-football sports, and how they're looking to engage. So that at that time, as of 2014, informed me that to write that article that, hey, we need to diversify from football and lay more emphasis. Not as though football should not be there, should not continue to enjoy the kind of attention or focus it does, but we also need to grow other sports that we believe would also equally appeal to a lot more crowd, like football currently or has been attracting over the past 30 years, as the case is.
Thank you so much, Tonte. So before we round up, I'll just take a few. We've got quite a lot of comments in today, to be honest. So I'll just take some few comments. Our usual person that comes on the show, Sandra Sylvester, said, "Hello, the way show, another beautiful Sunday." Johnny said, "Yeah, end SARS. I think SARS is ended now, so we need to start another one as soon as possible. I don't know when we're going to end this time, but we need to start another one." Patty Tiny Williams mentioned that Nigeria used to be a powerhouse when it comes to sports, but not anymore. Sports administrators are there for themselves and not for sports development. Do you agree with this, Tonte?
Then relatively, in part, while I believe that yes, a couple of over the years, yes, many sports administrators are there for themselves. The question of being a powerhouse is relative. In what area? And largely, I think his focus is going towards participatory and not the powerhouse. For me, I'm more interested. I'm not as participation is very important, but we cannot do without the business side of sports. Participation becomes difficult, and that's why we see even right now participation is even suffering because there's no revolving funds that will use to support elite athletes. Then on going down to grassroots to identify and also develop grassroots talents. So I don't feel yes, Nigeria sports has been has been a powerhouse from a participation point of view, but not from a business point of view. So in that regards, I don't totally agree.
Good. So we've got another question that says, "It is Nigeria NELS? Do you have an HR department in the NFF or even a consultant, HR business partner on contract?" That's another story for another day. Adebayo Fashion, thank you. He said everything we talked about today was very relevant. Sandra Nathaniel, football can actually be likened to religion on its own. Totally agree, especially in Nigeria, especially in this part of the world where we are in England, where football is it's just everything. So we thank you so much, everyone, for commenting. Adama, Omar, the Life Africa, Sandra Sylvester, Anthony Njoku, thank you. We said this is a very good conversation. Thank you for that. Patty Tanya Williams, thank you. I know you said it's not a laughing matter, because Greg was telling me to. Thank you for that. Ijoma Makinye, Dami, Fifi, Seed, thank you everyone for joining the show today for the comments. A special thanks to Greg Etafia and my man Tonte Davies that's been here since 8 o'clock. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you very much for having me.
I totally enjoy the data analysis because I'm a data person too. I'm a data analyst myself in my other life. So I totally enjoy. and hopefully what you've analyzed today and what you've articulated and what you've planned, especially with regards to the sports policy, would be implemented. At some point, we're trying as much as possible to drag the big man himself to this show as a sports minister, to take him on some of his words, for him to speak to us and obviously answer some of the questions, pressing questions we've got for him. But until then, we will continue to try and do everything we can to bring him in. But thank you today for all your brilliant analysis, both in entertainment and in sports, Tonte. And hopefully one day again we'll be able to invite you again to speak on other issues. And best of luck to report you and your twin brother Telema. And
thank you very much.
To him and to yourself. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
And so that's the show for today. It's been wonderful. Where's the time gone? Thank you to everyone that's commented on the show today. It's been wonderful. Special thanks to Greg Etafia for joining us all the way from South Africa. At some point again, we'll bring Greg in to talk about his career and what has happened to him all this while. We also will like to thank Tonte for coming on the show. Brilliant talk today we had, and I must say I've been thoroughly educated about the issue of data gathering, not just for sports but for entertainment. It's been worthwhile. Thank you to every one of you out there. Don't forget. Subscribe to the show, follow the show, like all our episodes or the previous episodes that we've lined up, and make sure you tell somebody about this show. Tell somebody to tell somebody. Experts to say stay safe. Yeah, that's my favorite word. So I'll leave you with those words. Stay safe, everybody. COVID-19 is real. I think it is real. So, but stay safe. Keep yourself safe, you and your family. Till next week, Sunday. When we'll be coming with someone special again on the show. I remain yours. My name is Wale, and very special thanks to my partner and the co-producer of the show, Yomi Omogbeja, who is behind the scenes, making sure you can hear me loud and clear, and obviously our guests. Thank you, and have a wonderful week. See you next week. Bye.